scary stories. And this is one of them. I have one shot of Wild Turkey 101 in me. Got a second one here. You can kind of see it. Oh God, it smells rotten. I'm not a, I don't savor shots. I know some people do. I'm not one of them. I find nothing to savor. The burn and all that, the commercials are like, oh, it's the spice. Spice be damned. There's no spice there. It's just hot. It's heat. But I am drinking responsibly with my Diet Dew. So we're going to start. This is Mr. Nightmare. Disturbing Dashcam videos with backstories. This just came out a day or so ago. So bottoms up. Ooh, it was in the freezer. You can see it's cold. Oh, it's terrible. No chaser. That wasn't me. That was my dogs. Oh, good Lord. Let's get on with the video.
That if it weren't caught on dash cam, you wouldn't believe it. It was around 1 in the morning.
Go back. Okay.
In this footage submitted by Jason, something happens that if it weren't caught on dash cam, you wouldn't believe it. It was around 1 in the morning. Jason was on his way to what he thought was going to be the house of a woman he matched with on a dating app. The person had given Jason their address over the app. They had not exchanged numbers. After putting the address into his phone, he realized that not only was the address 20 minutes away, it was also in a less desirable side of town. Against his better judgment, he got in his car anyway to head to the given address, which...
Against his better judgment. The man was looking for a booty call. Who hasn't went in the ghetto for that?
was in a cul-de-sac. After entering the cul-de-sac, he realized all 3 houses had all of their lights out, and when he tried to message the girl he matched on the dating app, she would no longer answer. After waiting a few minutes for an answer, he realized the person had unmatched him, meaning it may have been a trick or prank, and so he turned the car around. As he was leaving the cul-de-sac, he noticed someone on the sidewalk stepping out into the street, and so he locks his doors and slows down. This is the footage captured on the dash cam.
Oh, there they are. Would they have a gun?
The footage is kind of grainy, so it's hard to make out some of the smaller detail.
What were they hoping? He was going to stop and open his door and be like, sorry, sir, do you want to take my car?
But basically what happened was Jason slowed down as he saw a masked person walking into the middle of the street, immediately knowing something was off because there was nothing across the street except a busy highway. So he locks his door and comes to a stop as the person is directly in front of his car. Then the masked person reaches into his pocket, grabs a handgun that's a little hard to see in the video due to lighting, and starts running towards his driver's side door. Jason immediately steps on the gas and drives past the man.
Yeah, no one's stopping. The guy didn't fire any shots because he's a bitch. Shouldn't be taunting. So what are we doing here, Ed? Okay, good. Let's go ahead and skip that. Good talk. No, I don't want YouTube Premium. If I did, I would have already had it by now. Punk ass. So what? Really?
Drives past the man, who then tries to open the door, which thankfully was locked mere seconds earlier. It's hard to see unless you pause and zoom in, but the man in the video was wearing a creepy smiling mask. The man didn't fire any rounds, but that's also under the assumption that the gun was even loaded or real. It's not that uncommon to hear about people using fake guns in scenarios like this.
Yeah.
What was strange about this was while even though it was in a less desirable end of town, it was still a very residential block right next to a highway, so it was a slightly questionable place to pull this. However, it doesn't take a detective to put the pieces together that this was a setup through the dating app to lure some unsuspecting guy to a dead-end road in order to rob him at gunpoint, or worse. According to Jason, the spot in which the man stepped into the street was out of view of any houses as it ran alongside a long fence and bushes. Jason reported the whole incident to the police, including the given address. Jason was accompanied with a police officer to knock on the door of the address in question the next day, and an older woman who claimed to live alone answered the door. She claimed she had nothing to do with it, and that's obviously pretty likely to be the truth, meaning a random person simply chose that address because the street was low-key and hidden, debatably a perfect spot to try and set somebody up. Luckily, Jason didn't decide to stay put and got away without harm, because who knows what could have happened.
I might have missed it, but did it say that he got out of the car, or did he just pull up and then he was unfriended or whatever it was? Because if he got out of the car, that's when you'd think you'd rush him. You'd rush him near that. Well, no, because then he would have been seen. I wouldn't want the person to get back in the car if they've gotten out. If I'm a robber, I don't want the person. I want them to get out of the car and maybe approach the home, and I want to get them then. I don't mean get them as in kill them. I mean I want to get the keys and all that stuff then if I'm going to rob them. I mean, when you get them in the car, even if it's that stretch, you pull that gun and you start running to the driver's side, no one's going to stop. And if you let them go by and they fire a couple shots into your car and you know, your kind of warning shots, bam, bam, they're not stopping then for sure.
Before the next clip, I just want to talk about today's sponsor, Aura. I read a lot of horror stories on this channel, but a growing horror story in America that more and more people are falling victim to is identity theft, with there being a new victim every 14 seconds.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
You may be unpleasantly surprised to learn how easy.
Don't listen to
November
him.
23rd.
Don't listen to him. Identity theft isn't real. Keep your identity on the dark web, my friends, so that FBI will video.
3rd, 2016, the day before Thanksgiving, a fire began on the Chimney Tops Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. The fire was sparked by a group of kids playing with matches in the woods, and it was fueled by unusually high winds.
I hope those kids were hung by their genitals.
Flames erupted in a remote area with steep terrain that made access to the fire difficult for firefighters. Crews spent 3 days working to create a containment area lower down the mountain. Helicopters flew overhead doing bucket drops to attempt to slow the spread of the fire. On the 4th day, winds picked up.
I have a stupid question, and I do apologize for the pausing it. Can they drop salt water on a forest fire? I was told no, because the salt gets into the ground and then would kill the ground, which makes sense. I could look it up, but why do that? I'll forget about it as soon as I hit unpause. Don't even remember what I just said.
But the Gatlinburg fire chief said projections showed no immediate threat to Gatlinburg. Despite the predictions, on Monday, November 28th, dry weather and extreme winds caused the fire to grow rapidly. That evening, wind gusts of up to 87 miles per hour sent embers flying into Gatlinburg, wreaking havoc on the city and surrounding communities. Town officials reported that evacuation alerts were sent out to residents' cell phones, but many residents said they never received any alerts. 14 people were killed and 191 people were injured in the fire. The flames destroyed nearly 2,500 homes and left an estimated $2 billion worth of damages. Resident Michael Luciano recorded his and his stepbrother's horrifying escape down the mountain. During the drive down, just about every single passing cabin is seen engulfed in flames.
Oh, God.
The NBA is back, and with FanDuel, this season's looking better than ever. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150.
I don't care. No one cares.
We'll get out of it. Hit the gas. I can't
Hit the gas, you can't see.
Why is every cabin on fire?
Because it's a fire.
Fuck. I don't know about this. Dude, this started at Natty Branch. We're going the wrong way. What? Oh God, that was a beautiful cabin too. Not now.
And at multiple points, the two men find themselves stuck behind fallen trees.
Oh.
Go through it. Go through it.
I can't. Dude, it's not a tank.
Try it on the left side where these sticks are short. Get a running start.
I understand the panic. Go through it. Go through it. I get it. But you're driving a vehicle. It's not like you're driving a tank that's just some invincible thing. You have to be careful when you're going through all that. Getting out of the... And it's not just the fire, but getting out... Like, if you go over something and you get a flat tire, it's not like you can just get out and change that tire. You have all that smoke. You're going to be breathing that in. I mean, you have to be careful.
Even at one point getting stuck behind another driver, which happened to be an old man who rolled his window down to tell Michael that he couldn't see.
Oh, jeez. Dude, don't do that.
Does this motherfucker want to die here? What the f*** is wrong with you? Go! Get the f*** out of here!
The old man ended up pulling to the side and following Michael's taillights down the mountain. At certain points, it seems very likely the men aren't going to make it out alive. But by some stroke of luck, they made it to the containment area with only minor damages to their truck. Their luck didn't just end there though. Their cabin survived the fires with very little damage, despite its close proximity to the surrounding engulfing flames. While this footage can almost make you feel like you're in the truck with them, it obviously can't compare to the actual fear of being in the suffocating heat inside the truck mixed with tension of the life or death situation at hand.
That's the one thing I didn't think of, all that heat. I was just looking at the smoke. All that heat of going past it, even though the windows are up. Oh, it's got to be terrible.
In this footage, a young girl who wished to remain nameless, so I'll refer to her as Amanda, was driving home from her boyfriend's house. She had just pulled out of the driveway and started heading down her boyfriend's block when a car in the middle of the road came into view. The car wasn't moving but didn't have its hazards on, so Amanda waited for a few moments until the driver in front of her lowered his window and waved for her to go around him, so she did. Upon passing the car, she quickly realized the car behind her started moving as well, which at first wasn't too weird, but it became clear very soon that the car was following her after it started making the same turns she made. She started to make...
I just watched a thing that said if you think you're being followed, make 4 right-hand turns. Because, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're back going the direction you were going. If the car behind you does the exact same thing, they're definitely following you. Because then they just look like an asshole if they make all 4 of them. So they're not going to want to do that. But if they're following you and they don't care, they're going to make that 4th one. As soon as they make that 4th turn, you call the police. Call the police and you just keep driving. Keep driving at a rate to where you... And make turns. Just left, whatever. Just keep doing it and just stay in it like a vicinity to where you can call the cops and say, hey, we're going to be at Pacific and 3rd. I apologize if that's a real street. But just keep making turns and just kind of making them seem like they know that you know. And they're just... So if you're the follower, you're like, well, they know we're following. But they're just keep making these turns and staying in this general vicinity. And as soon as you see that cop car, you just drive right to him. That's a tip for anyone in the future.
As many random turns as possible, and sure enough, the car behind her stayed on her tail.
No random rights or lefts in 4s. They're coming up off quick.
She then calls her boyfriend, which I muted at her request for privacy, and she explained to him that somebody was following her.
I wouldn't speed up, by the way. Don't speed up. Don't let them dictate your speed, because if you crash and they want to kidnap you, you've just disabled your vehicle for them. So you continue at the same speed and you just pretend like you don't know that they're following you, even though you know. You got to stay calm, don't panic. Do the 4 rights, go 2 blocks, do 4 lefts, go do 3 rights and head back. And then do 4 rights, or actually it'd be 4 lefts and then 4 rights. Just stay in the vicinity, call the police, and just say, this is where I am. And all you have to do is be at Pacific and 3rd. And I will find you. Be at Pacific and 3rd within this vicinity. And I will find you. Trust me.
Reassured her to keep calm and
Don't ever panic and go faster than you're comfortable with to try to lose them or anything like that, you're not going to. They're doing it on purpose. And I apologize for all the pauses.
And everything would be fine, and to just drive to the nearest police station. So she looked up the nearest police precinct, and when they were only a few blocks away from it, the car behind her turned the opposite way, likely because they knew she was going to the police station. Still on the phone with her boyfriend, she told him the car behind her turned a different direction, so her boyfriend assured her she should be fine to go straight home. Just be cautious. Amanda drove home after this, which was in the same town, so it was unlikely to be a long trip.
Go to the police station, you stupid asshole. Apologize.
Home. She even checked to make sure the coast was clear before parking her car and going inside. But later in the night, she woke up to this.
And that's why.
Illinois homeowners,
Man,
all the electric
what are you
companies
doing?
are raising their rates this year, but you can stop them by getting solar panels installed.
You go to the police station. I just paused it. You go to the police station because with your dash cam, maybe you have a couple numbers that are on there that the police can pull off that license plate. The police also might swing by your house a couple times because they know to be alert for any potential problem. You go home, you call them, maybe they are in the vicinity. Maybe those people were parked and they saw the cops at your house or drive past. And they're like, okay, cool. And they pull up. You call, boom, boom, radio. Maybe that cop, he's 2-3 blocks away by now. He could swoop right and come back. I'm getting angry and I apologize. I can't see what's happening.
What the fuck is that?
Somebody banging on something. 911.
Amanda heard sounds right outside her bedroom window, like someone was trying to lift it open from the outside. Once she turned the lamp on, the noise stopped. She called for her dad when she realized what was happening, and the occurrence was immediately associated with the vehicle that was following her earlier. So the family called the police to file a police report and showed them the dashcam footage of the vehicle following her. The vehicle could be identified as a BMW, and Amanda was asked if she knew anyone who owned a BMW that might want to hurt her. The only person she could think of was a guy named Christopher Crea, somebody who she blocked on social media for obsessive harassment, who happened to drive a black BMW. These were the last texts Christopher had sent to Amanda before she blocked him. Christopher happened to know Amanda's boyfriend personally through mutual friends, and through those connections, he knew where he lived, so the idea that this Christopher guy waited outside Amanda's boyfriend's house suddenly became a possibility. As an idle threat, Amanda's boyfriend sent an Instagram DM to Christopher that she was filing for a restraining order if he bothered her again, but his response was him acting confused and claiming he hadn't bothered her. Whether it was acting or not is a mystery, but nothing happens again at Amanda's house after that, so it doesn't seem too far-fetched that it could have been this Christopher guy. The following dashcam footage was taken in the vehicle of Uber driver Christina Spikuza, and I want to warn you, while there is no actual graphic footage shown, the story behind it is upsetting.
First off, anyone who's wearing... Okay, like, I understand COVID. Everyone's wearing masks. But, like, he's wearing this. Like, he's a goddamn ninja. And just his eyes are exposed. Like, nah, man.
38-year-old mother of four, Christina Spikuza, was doing some night drives on February 10th, 2022, when 22-year-old Calvin Crew used his girlfriend's phone to order an Uber. Christina accepted the ride and picked Calvin up. He gets into the car in a sketchy mask covering his entire face except for his glowing eyes. She greets him by asking for Tanea and how are you today, but he doesn't answer either question, or if he did, it was likely an inaudible grunt.
Hi, for Tanea.
Any one of you... Shh. Sorry, that's my soda. Any one of you ever... driven an Uber or anything like that? If you have, do you have any horror stories? Any scary things? Anything that made your nipples get hard? Tell me. Talk to me. Oh, nah.
How are you
All right, I don't know if I want to see all this.
Christina was extremely polite to
his
Calvin,
eyes.
even asking how his day was going a few minutes in.
Did you have a good day today?
Calvin is seen turning to check if the coast was clear.
I don't like how he slid to the middle. Like, to me, that's instantly bad news. You should be wearing a seatbelt in the back on your side. I would pull over right there and be like, can you get back in your seat and wear your seatbelt, sir? For the safety of all of us.
And then lifting his mask up slightly before pulling a gun on Christina and threatening her.
I'm sorry?
Keep driving.
You've got to be joking.
Keep driving.
What are you doing?
This is a gun. Keep driving.
No, it's not. Stop. Come on, man. I got a family. What are you
I got
doing?
a family too. Now drive.
What are you doing?
Drive.
Dude, that's ballsy for her to be feeling it, though.
Please stop.
Drive the car, miss.
Why are
Just
you
drive.
doing
Don't
this?
Don't make this so noticeable. Just drive.
Why are you doing this?
Drive the car.
To
Complete
where?
the trip.
I cannot do that.
Complete the trip.
Why are you doing this?
Complete the trip.
Please?
He tells her to cancel the ride so that it could no longer be tracked. Not long after, he grabs her phone to gain access to her banking apps to transfer money to his girlfriend's
Get
phone.
off of me. Please. No, no.
Keep driving.
Before grabbing the dash cam and throwing it out the window, he tells her that everything will be okay if she does what he says.
So something that I would do is I would drive like normal, and the first oncoming car, I would swerve and hit. Because what's he gonna do? Pull the trigger and take off running? He's gonna be messed up because he ain't got no seatbelt on. God damn it!
Do what I say and everything will
And
be
yes, he
fine.
could accidentally pull the trigger. I understand that could happen.
That later proved to be a lie. Christina's body was discovered by an Amazon driver 2 days later, lying in the woods 50 feet off the road, with a single gunshot wound to the head. Detectives found Christina's dashboard camera along the route of her last Uber ride, and the footage provided all the evidence necessary to prosecute Calvin for her murder. Prosecutors are currently seeking the death penalty for Calvin.
Good. Fucking piece of shit. I hope he's raped in jail with the switchblade. Oh, what a cocksucker he is. Ugh. I hope they knock his teeth out and rape his mouth in jail. But I mean that, politely. My dinner's about ready. Yay! I feel so bad for her. What a piece of shit. I would love to, just to tie him down and pour battery acid on his balls. Yeah. I feel good with those comments. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I'm going to eat dinner, and I'm going to be very angry. I'm going to do another shot of wild turkey. Papa needs to get that buzz on. All right. Trying not to think of the ending on the last video. And the fact that she was a mother. And you guys wanted me to... No one actually requested me to do this video. I'm just doing it, but I'm passing the buck to you, so it's now your fault. And have a good day. Have a good night. Terrible human beings you are.